Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing my May native plant garden tour. It's finally starting to look like spring. There's finally blooms in my garden and I'm so super excited. I've got trilliums in bloom. We've got some wood poppy, some foam flower, and prairie smoke is coming along. So I'm very excited to share these with you now. So let me get right to the videos. Thank you so much for watching. Here is my foam flower going into bloom. Look at how pretty these little flowers are. Aren't they just gorgeous? I love them. This plant is supposed to spread out rather quickly, but I've had this one little guy in my garden for a few years now and it hasn't done much more than this. But look, I finally have some runners. So that is giving me hope that it's going to stretch out a bit more and I'll have even more of this in my garden soon enough. Here is my marginal fern. I transplanted this from a cottage lawn, which was going to get mowed. So I consider this a rescue. I've got a whole bunch of new little guys popping up. Are they not so cute? And this guy is looking pretty good. Apparently this fern can handle more drier conditions than other ferns. So prime spot for my gardens because I don't have a lot of moisture and it's doing really great. I have it in a few spots. There's another one hiding over there as well. Standing up nice and tall already is my Solomon seal, and it's just going into bloom. So this plant does not bloom for long, so you got to come and see it while it's in bloom. Here is how it starts. It has these little drooping blooms, and then it opens up like this. They're very pretty, and this plant looks awesome through the whole growing season, and it even has a little bit of winter interest as well. All through the front here and then into the middle and the back is my Canada anemone. I actually didn't want it at the front because it's a little taller than I'd like for the front, but it doesn't seem to want to move. I transplanted it and look at it's growing back quite nicely. So keep that in mind if you're going to grow Canada anemone. It might get its footing quite nicely and not want to be transplanted. So yes, it is a pretty aggressive plant as well. So definitely what I'm looking for, but not necessarily what everyone is looking for in their gardens. Here's my wild ginger. I got this plant last year for the first time. It was so wee, and now it has at least doubled or tripled in size, so it's really happy. It's going to spread out nicely in a low-growing mat, which is exactly what I'm looking for in my shady garden. And take a look at these flowers. Aren't they neat? I wasn't expecting it to bloom already, and it is blooming for me, so it's clearly pleased. So really hoping I'll have lots of this and kind of have it spread out nicely over time. Here is my white trillium. However, it's not really looking as white anymore. It's looking more pink and rosy colored. And I've seen this in the wild and I'm not quite sure why. So if you know, do tell and let us know in the comments so we can all learn from each other. And I've also seen a little bit of babies over here. So not sure if these are from seeds that were pollinated last year or if these are wee plants that perhaps I have forgotten that are growing or even runners. So very excited to have them either way. But I do know that these little guys will take a very long time to bloom because apparently trilliums take about 7 years to go from seed to bloom. Here beside my trilliums are my jack in the pulpits. Now they're about 2 feet tall or so, a little taller than I was expecting when I planted this guy. And look at this flower. Isn't that so neat? There's the jack standing in the middle of the flower there. Very unique flower and very happy to have it in the garden. Though it is an ephemeral plant, meaning it's just kind of here in the springtime and then it'll fade out over time as it's shaded out in the shady garden. Here is my great blue lobelia, just getting started. This is fine in this shady location. It prefers full sun for sure, and in the sunnier spot, it's about 2 feet taller than here. So here it'll only get to about maybe 3 feet tall or so. So just keep that in mind. If you're growing it in the shadier location, it might just not stand up as tall. And to me, that doesn't bother me at all. Beside my great blue lobelia is my lady fern. It's looking awesome. I think this thing has like doubled in size from last year, so it's very pleased. It's happier right now because it's got a lot of moisture. So this plant needs a little bit more moisture than I'm able to give it in my gardens. So just keep that in mind. Plant it in a shady spot that is a little more moist than kind of the average garden. Here is my lovely little patch of large-leafed aster. This was only 3 plants that I got from the Reap Green Solutions Bloom in the Box kit. And now look at it. It's got a ton of new plants. So really, really happy with how it's spreading out nicely in my shady garden. Duking it out with my large-leafed aster is the Zigzag Goldenrod, and that has clearly spread out really, really nicely as well. Now, this plant I think could use more water than what I'm giving it as well. It's definitely struggling later on in the year when we have more drought, but it's very happy now. It's been giving me lots of blooms and clearly spreading out nicely as well, so it's happy enough for sure. Here are my choke cherry plants. I've got two here, one here from the Bee Sweet Nature Company and another transplant from my sister-in-law. So thank you for that. They're both looking so great. This is going to grow nice and tall, which I think is going to look awesome at the back of the shady garden and in the front of my house. All in bloom and all along the front of my shady garden is my Woodland Strawberry. The flowers are absolutely gorgeous. They're so cute. I just love them. And I'm really hoping that I'll get to taste some of the strawberries this year because I think they got all eaten up by critters last year. So I'm going to keep an eye out this year for sure. Here are my three little clumps of Bottlebrush Grass. This looked great last year. It stood up nice and tall, had some beautiful seed heads, which I left on the plant, which I had thought might be gobbled up by the birds. However, I have a ton of baby Bottlebrush Grass plants growing throughout my whole shady garden. So if you have Bottlebrush Grass, how do you manage it? Do you deadhead it? What do you do so that you don't end up with this? Because I really am not looking for a whole forest of Bottlebrush Grass. In the middle here is my bush honeysuckle. Now this is supposed to be a specimen plant for me, like standing up nice and tall. I did get it quite small, but it is growing quite slowly. So it's supposed to be like 4 feet tall or so. And right now this longest part is probably maybe 2.5 feet tall and it's flopping right over. So not the specimen that I was looking for, but it's still clearly looking healthy enough. It's just not as fast growing and kind of sturdy as I was expecting. So keep that in mind if that's what you're planning for your bush honeysuckle as well. Here is my Christmas fern. We've got a whole bunch of new fronds looking really, really happy. They're standing up nice and tall, nice and green, and they will look just like this for a good chunk of the growing season. It's definitely a nice, lovely little addition to the shade garden, different than the typical hosta for sure. So a little tricky to see, but here is my wild columbine just going into bloom. It has the prettiest flowers. They kind of look a little bit like a joker's hat. They have the coral on the outside and then yellow on the inside. And this will come out even more in the next few days as they all start to bloom. It's such a pretty plant and very easy to grow too. I believe this is my dense blazing star. I have grown this from seed and it hasn't done much for, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years. Maybe this will be my year. I'm really, really hoping. If you think this is something other than dense blazing star, do let me know too. This is my golden Alexanders, and I've got some blooms on their way. Here they come. This plant is a host plant for the black swallowtail butterfly. So I have not had any yet on my golden Alexanders, but I'm hoping that this year will be my year that I see those chubby little caterpillars gobble this thing up, because that is pretty much what it's here for. Another one that's a little tricky to see, this is my red bud, my eastern red bud. I did not get any of the pretty pink flowers this year, but I do have a ton of new growth. It's so cute. The little leaves are heart-shaped. They're very beautiful all on their own. This plant is only about 2 feet tall or so right now, but it's going to get to about 20 feet tall or so. So this is tiny now, but it's going to look awesome in just a few years. Here's my wood poppy looking awesome in my part shade garden. I had some of these beautiful yellow flowers already. They're very delicate. Do not touch them. You will knock off all the petals, as I might have done. We've got some fuzzy seed pods developing over here, and then we've got a fuzzy little bud that's coming along as well. So lots going on with this wood poppy and hoping that it is going to continue expanding in my part shade garden over time. Here we are in my boulevard garden, and this is Prairie Smoke. It's all in bloom right now. I love these flowers so much. I know this plant gets its name for the very cool seed heads that it gets, which will come in a couple weeks, but I do just love the flowers. I think they're very pretty and very unique and awesome for the boulevard garden. This thing is very, very happy here. Another great option for the boulevard garden is Lanceleaf Coreopsis. This is very, very happy here. We've just got leaves right now, but this is the longest blooming flower in my garden by far. It'll bloom in the early summer and it'll go all the way to the fall. So definitely an option, especially if you like those bright yellow sunshine flowers that it gives. Another happy plant in the boulevard garden is my wild blue lupin. This is going to have some lovely tall bluish purple flowers in a couple weeks. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it made a ton of babies. It made these plants over here, and then it also has all these wee things that are coming along, which I'm definitely going to share with friends. Now, this does hybridize with other lupins, which I'm pretty sure this one did, because the flowers that come off of these plants down here don't look exactly the same as the original mother plant. So keep that in mind. You may consider getting rid of your lupins, though your neighbors might have them and you might not be able to control that either. Here's my nodding onion in the boulevard garden. It has about doubled or so in size. I grew this from seed. It pretty much just looked like these little wee things like grass last year. Don't see any signs of blooms quite yet, but hoping that I still have some time. I have a ton of volunteer milkweed in my boulevard garden. I'm pretty sure this guy here is my common milkweed, whereas this is the swamp milkweed back here. And this common milkweed has gone bonkers. There's some growing over here at the side, over here right by the edge, and even right by the road. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. Hey, if I got a ton of milkweed, maybe I'll get a ton of monarchs too. Here is my daisy Fleabane. This was another volunteer in my boulevard garden last year. I left it be and it has either come back or perhaps it made babies and is coming back via seed. Who knows? Either way, it has beautiful, happy daisy-like flowers that I certainly welcome in my garden. Here we have my prickly pear cactus. It's looking a little wrinkly, a little sad, but that is totally normal, totally natural for this point in the year. I transplanted this guy. He was in this spot in the rock, and now he has a happy home in the garden and hopefully will thrive back there and spread out because he was a little contained within the rock. But this has been a happy plant in my garden for about 4 years now. Here we have my hairy beardtongue, still in the boulevard garden. Really awful name for this plant, but a lovely plant, pretty flowers. And this plant is in a ton of spots in my garden and happy everywhere. So pretty versatile as well. Here we have my wild basil. This is about doubled in size from last year. I just got a wee little thing from the rare eco market and it is looking very happy this spring already. Here, standing at about a foot tall, we've got my Foxglove Beardtongue, and this has about doubled in size from last year as well from the rare eco market. However, I don't see any blooms yet, so maybe we'll still have them. Fingers crossed. Just peeking out of the leaves here is my little blue stem. I gave it a bit of a haircut. I clipped off the old foliage from last season and the new stuff is coming, though it does look a little smothered. So I just kind of fluffed up the leaves here so that it could breathe and see the sunlight a bit better. Here we have my very happy patch of black raspberries. This is just flourishing. Oh my goodness. This was like 8 plants that I planted in the last year or two. And look how much of it I have. Just a ton, which is awesome. And you can see that we've got the little flowers coming along. They are going to be lovely. And then I can't wait to eat the beautiful black raspberries in a few months. Here, standing at about 3.5, 4 feet tall, is my service berry. This is the happiest one that I've had on my property. I'm very, very excited. I did not get any flowers this year, though I see lots on trees nearby. So I don't think I'm going to get any berries, but I am very hopeful because it is looking so happy. I've tried this a couple times. I've killed a couple plants. So this one is giving me lots of hope. Here is one of my New England Asters. I clipped off all of the stems from last year, which you can see at the base there. They're all gone. I put those in my pollinator pile, which you might have seen in the shady garden behind the shade plants. And now it's about maybe 3 feet, 2.5, 3 feet tall. Now you can Chelsea chop this, which maybe in a few weeks, in the mid-June, you can chop it back by about 1/3 to help it become more bushy and not as leggy, but I leave mine be and it does perfectly fine. Here is my butterfly weed finally popping up. It's looking really, really good, really happy. Although this plant is sure to be complaining soon enough, it will stretch out. This doesn't get as much sun as I would like to give it. This plant prefers full sun and can handle very dry conditions. So if you've got a spot that is dry and sunny and not a lot of things will grow, definitely consider butterfly weed. It is a great contender. In this little corner, I've got my swamp milkweed. It's starting to look really good, really happy. It's only about maybe 6 inches, 8 inches tall or so. This is going to get to about 4 feet tall. It's so beautiful later in the summer. I definitely recommend it. Even though it's called swamp milkweed, it is doing perfectly fine in my kind of medium moisture garden. Here's my pale purple coneflower. This has probably doubled in size since I planted it as a wee little plug. It's looking great. It needs a tomato cage in my garden. It needs to be stood up a little bit by others around it. And right now, these other plants are not doing it. So it flopped over the first year I had it. And this tomato cage worked really, really well last year. This is my Paw Paw tree that I got from Ontario Native Plants. It's wee, it's super tiny, but look, it has life. It made it through the winter. I see signs of life. I'm very, very excited. I'm going to leave this little contraption around it just in case the bunnies might think it's tasty and to protect it a little bit more because I would really like this guy to survive. This little patch is a little confusing. We've got some Scarlet Beebalm growing here, right here. And it is going to stand up at about maybe 3 feet tall or so and have those kind of vibrant fireworks of flowers. And then you can see there's all mixed weeds and strawberries. I'm pretty sure there's some nightshade back there. But ultimately, I would really like this to fill in, and it's taken a bit of time. So if you have tricks on keeping bee balm or Scarlet Beebalm happy, do let me know. Beside the Scarlet Beebalm is my obedient plant. This is one of my favorites. It starts off small. It's about 1.5 feet tall right now. It's going to be about 4 or 5 feet tall with beautiful flowers that the pollinators just love. So this is a fun plant to grow, fun plant to share, though it can get aggressive. So keep that in mind. If you want to contain it, you can deadhead it and share it with friends. Over here, we have my sneezeweed. This is about maybe 2.5 feet tall right now. It is going to have those very cute, lovely yellow, almost button nose-like flowers later on in the year. I do think that this is not sneezeweed. Does this look like goldenrod to you? I'm thinking this might be a volunteer, and I'm not sure I want it quite everywhere, so I might have to pull that out. So do let me know in the comments if you think that's something different. Here is my morning star sedge, and it is looking a little haggard. It's got lots of this dry foliage from last year, which I might just snip off. We will see. Lots of new stuff growing too, though, so I'm not worried. So these 3 little guys, 1, 2, 3, I'm pretty sure are my Michigan lily. I had 2 planted last year from Ontario Native Plants, and now I have 3. So that's super exciting. Now, last year I had a bloom coming. It was ready to pop, and it got gobbled right up by a bunny or something. So this year I'm going to have to protect those to make sure we can see those beautiful blooms because I am ready for them. I've got a couple things kind of fighting it out over here, but this is my Virginia mountain mint, and it is a very lovely little plant. It smells awesome when you kind of press it with your fingers. It smells so lovely. And I think it's fighting it out with some more volunteer goldenrods. I think that's what this is. And here as well. Another one I might have to move because I'd really like the mountain mint to kind of thrive here. This here is my wild blue phlox. I don't see any signs of flowers quite yet. I gave it a move. It was a little bit closer to the edge of the garden and I kind of put it more to the mid. It did grow nice and full last year as well and kind of reached a little bit, which I gave it a little bit more space, but yet no flowers. So maybe they're still coming. Here we have my white turtlehead. I've got one here and another one here. And look at that guy. He's like, I don't know, 3 feet tall already. So clearly happy. This was a little bit angry last year near the end of the summer. It was very dry and I wasn't sure if it was coming back, but it looks quite pleased. So hopefully we'll get lots more blooms this year as well. Back here behind my hosta over here is my Woodland Sunflower. It is coming along. It will bloom much later in the year. So this is what it'll look like for now, and it's looking pretty happy. Here in this contraption is my spice bush. This is going to be a very large bush over time, but right now it's just a little thing. It's only about maybe 1.5 feet tall or so, and this is a host plant to this spice bush swallowtail. So hoping to get some of those over time, but I don't really know that this plant would handle it at this point. Here is my little patch of wild bergamot. I planted this from seed last year and it was just little and it just had leaves. So maybe this year we'll get some of those pretty kind of firework of purple flowers that it has. Here is my great blue lobelia and it's looking really happy. This is in the sunnier spot. Last year, this thing was huge. It was like 5 feet tall. It had a ton of beautiful flowers and it was looking great. So it will handle less sunny conditions, but it is clearly happier in the sunny spot. I left on the stalks here just in case there's some pollinators that are still sleeping in there. They can come out over time. Over here beside my great blue lobelia is my Canada goldenrod, and this looked awesome last year. It was a volunteer in the garden and stood up nice and tall beside the great blue lobelia with its beautiful golden yellow flowers. It was a pollinator magnet and it was really happy here. And then it made a ton of babies with runners in the garden, which I don't need. I don't want a whole forest of Canada goldenrod. So I removed those, but I left the mother plant. And hopefully we'll see these two looking awesome together later in the summer, just like last year. Here in this pot, I've got my smooth rose. I haven't got a bloom yet, so maybe this will be my year, but it has about doubled or tripled in size already, and it's quite happy. Though it is not in its forever home. It is in its pot until I find a nice spot for it, but it does grow quite vigorously, so I'm still not quite sure where to put it. Oh, but look, let's see, there's a bloom coming. Oh my goodness, yay! Oh, that's exciting. All right, well, I'll hopefully get to show that to you in the next video. Here is my new little wild senna. Do you have wild senna in your garden? This guy is so cute right now. It looks awesome, but apparently it is pretty aggressive. I've heard that it does well in more prairie gardens. Not quite sure it's going to be the best fit for my suburban garden. So let me know if you have wild senna and how you deal with it in your gardens. Here is a new one to me. This is my new Pearly Everlasting. I got a division of this from my sister-in-law. Thank you. And I'm very excited to add it to the garden. So if you have any tips on growing Pearly Everlasting, do let me know in the comments below. Here is my seed sowing station. I've got a whole bunch of things growing in here. I did not label these, so I don't know what they are yet. I'm pretty sure one is Lanceleaf Coreopsis and maybe the other might be swamp milkweed. I promise I will know for next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the video interesting and helpful. What is blooming in your gardens right now? Is there anything that I have missed? Are there any tips you can share? Please share all that in the comments below so we can all learn from each other. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more native plant garden tours, gardening tips, and adventures along the way as well. Thanks again and happy gardening.